Hello my friends, it's Gabriel with the Last Huntsman Outdoors here. Just hiking out here with a little mini huntsman. Oops, I'm trying to get that sun out of your eyes, little guy. But yeah, he's my little redhead mini huntsman. But out here, and as you guys know, when I'm out here hiking, that's kind of when I do my thinking. And you're kind of talking about some more important preparedness considerations. I don't know what part this is. I'll kind of add it to the video title because I've been doing a few different parts on this. And you know, a lot of our preparedness channels on YouTube anymore has all become nothing but repeaters of the state-run media and fear porn and clickbait, which I absolutely refuse doing that. I will not do that. I will not repeat what the satanic state-run media and the spirit of Babylon wants people to follow after. Not saying that there aren't things going on in the world, but just chasing it constantly doesn't help. So my preparedness considerations here is more proactive things that you could actually do to try to help you guys out. And if you guys have just caught on to this video series, I'm going to try to set up a playlist specifically for this video series, just because I think it's smart to kind of start from the beginning, but they're not in any kind of particular order, so you can really honestly watch them in any kind of order. Now, one important preparedness consideration I'm going to be bringing up is if you're in your own area, and I highly suggest building a community / homestead versus the stereotypical I'm a prepper and I live in an apartment in a big city and I'm gonna bug out. I personally think that's kind of stupid. You're at that point just becoming a refugee. So just kind of know where I come from. I'm very rural. I have my own land. I homestead. I grow a lot of my own stuff. And what most people would consider their ideal bug out location is my home. So just kind of getting that out there right off the bat. But no matter where you're at, and this is going to go into one of my first points here, no matter where you're at, whether you're out in rural Midwest like I am, or whatever, you're always going to have pros and cons. And so sometimes scouting, and when I say scouting, that involves getting out on your own property, getting out in your own area and scouting things out, and sometimes even just getting in your car and driving around and finding what those pros and cons are. So, you know, I'm not gonna get too much into like my OPSEC here or anything, but I have, you know, some pros and some cons with my own area. One of the pros is, hey, I have a few spring water accesses, both natural and man-made wells, which is obviously really nice. That's a pro. I have a lot of hunting ground. That's a pro. Hey, I also have a lot of farm ground. That's also a pro. You know, whether it's from my own gardens and or livestock or whatever, I have a decent source of food and water. One con though, okay, because like I said, everywhere has pros and cons. I'm a little closer to an interstate highway than what I'd like to be. Is that the end all be all? No, but it's just one thing to kind of keep in mind. And here's the thing, like I said, everywhere has pros and cons. So addressing those pros and cons is going to be vital. You know, I have the interstate highway not too far from my house. So that is one major con. The other major con is that it's good 5-10 miles from me, so it's not like directly right there, but I do see some residual from it. And that is, and if you know anything about, well, I'll just kind of disclose a little bit, central Missouri, you know that there's some little rundown meth towns. What, you know, a lot of people recognizes it. They don't have any police, they don't have like any real infrastructure, they're just rundown little towns. Most of the houses were abandoned years ago, and you just have meth heads that'll just kind of ransack the town, hijack the entire town, and basically turn the entire little town into a flop town. I got one of those not too far from me. Like I said, about 5-10 miles. That could be a potential con too. Everywhere has pros and everywhere has cons. So addressing the pros and cons of your area is going to be beneficial. You know, another pro of my area is it's very rural. I don't have any major population centers near me. It's 20-30 miles to even the closest real town, and it's more than an hour to any bigger city. So that is a decent pro for my area. So addressing your pros and cons of your area is going to be important. Another important thing, and I see a lot of these quote preppers doing this, is they all talk about food storage, and more food storage, which I'm all for. I have lots of food storage. I think food storage is great. However, if a catastrophic type of situation happens, which in my strong opinion, I think the most likely is just going to be the collapse of the empire. And that's kind of for a different video. But in the event of any kind of catastrophic situation, if all you have is food storage, then you're kind of putting a timer on yourself. And granted, having that timer is better than nothing. It definitely gives you some time to kind of figure out what you're doing from there. But you still are timed. Unless if you have some kind of means of actual food production, then you're, you know, like I said, you're just kind of prolonging the inevitable. And even with food production, you still should always have food storage, just because if you've ever done any kind of homesteading or gardening or livestock or anything like that, you know for a fact that you have some good years and you have some bad years. There's some years that I've done garden and did not hardly get anything, and there's some years that I've done gardening and had more food than I knew what to even do with, which learning in how to get into like food storage and stuff like that will also be pretty vital. Another thing to consider with food storage or hunting or anything along those lines, and I've heard one particular prepping channel say something kind of stupid, which, you know, I guess everybody does here and there, but actually I'll even call him out. Canadian Prepper, which I don't even think he really does anything more than just fear porn, clickbait crap anymore. But back when he actually did kind of somewhat preparedness type of videos, there was one time I seen on a video, don't quote me exactly, you know, or what video, I just remember him saying it, but he said something along the lines like, oh, I don't hunt, or I don't, you know, actually garden or anything like that, but I'll learn when the time comes. Well, first of all, those are skills. So trying to learn a new skill when you're already in a catastrophic situation is not a good thing. And there's a reason why every ancient civilization had gardeners, had farmers, had huntsmen, people that were skilled in those trades, because they used to be an actual trade. And there's a reason why they had skilled people in those, is because they require a decent amount of skill. And I'm not even saying that I'm like spectacularly great at either of those things, but practicing and actually using and putting those skills to the test is important. So thinking that you're going to be some apartment dweller, play video games and stock up on a bunch of food, and then all said and done, when things really get crazy, then that's when you're going to try to actually figure out real things to do, is not good. Start putting skills and training to use, not only on a tactical front, but also on a homesteading type of front. Like, if you want my opinion, I think the people that will be doing the best are people that has community, has family, and basically are, how do I say this, Christian militant farmers. How about I put it that way? Now, I guess that kind of leads into my third and final topic that I'll be talking about in this video. And this is one that I have had to remedy. So, you know, I'm not even coming off as like I'm the be-all, know-all or anything like that. This is a work in progress for me too. But I see a lot of preppers and like doomsday type of people and stuff like that. They're not having kids. More often than not, it's because they think like the impending doom is coming at any point in time and that kids will hinder them, which leads into that fear porn crap that I absolutely despise, because that stifles you. It doesn't help you. But you need to have kids, because, you know, we don't know the day or the hour. We don't know how long it's going to last. We don't know if it's even going to be in our lifetime. You know, I'll tell you a little bit about my own story, my own life here. My dad, growing up as a kid, was a hardcore tribulations type of guy. And I do believe that we will live through tribulations. I do not believe in rapture. I do not believe in that fake doctrine like my dad. But my dad thought it was going to be in his lifetime at some point. Well, guess what? My dad passed away. It was not in his lifetime. Here I am getting in my own, you know, mid-30s. And I had to start thinking about the future. Hey, it might not be in my lifetime. I also don't want to be an old man with no future prodigy to carry on. Because no matter what the catastrophic situation is, things will settle down again. And there will be a new civilization after the collapse of the old civilization. That's a little bit of long-term history 101 right there, I guess. So, having kids is important. And not only just having kids, but having kids that are productive and trained and can actually be assets instead of a hindrance. You know, if all you have is a bunch of kids and you give them nothing but a bunch of cereal, cookies, and candy, and they just turn into little fat wads that do nothing but complain and play video games, then yeah, they're going to be a hindrance. But having little kids that you actually raise up on a homestead or a farm, and you actually train them to do things, then guess what? You just train the next generation of Christian militant farmers, basically. And so I think what people need to stop doing is thinking that everything's going to happen in their lifetime or even tomorrow, and start thinking about things on a more generational basis. And so that's just going to kind of wrap things up. As always, be prepared both physically and spiritually. God bless, and carry on.